Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. Barack Obama, aged 4, at the beach with his grandfather in 1965 in Honolulu, Hawaii, United States. The image shows young Barack Obama playing by the seaside with his maternal grandfather, Stanley Dunham. Hawaii was the state where Obama grew up and spent much of his childhood, influencing his worldview and identity. Charles Ebbets, the man who took the famous image of workers having lunch sitting on a steel beam high up in a skyscraper in New York in 1932. The photograph, titled "Lunch Atop a Skyscraper," was taken during the construction of the RCA building, now known as 30 Rockefeller Plaza. In the image, 11 workers are having their lunch break, sitting on a beam more than 800 feet high, with no safety equipment. A practical driving lesson at a driving school in 1953, recorded in a city in the United States during the post-war period. During the 1950s, the popularity of the automobile grew rapidly, and knowing how to drive became an essential skill for both men and women. Many driving schools emerged during this period, offering theoretical and practical lessons focused on traffic rules, signage, and basic maneuvers. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates together in 1991 during a conversation about the future of computers. The meeting took place in the United States at a private event that brought together major names in technology at the time. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, and Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, were already influential figures in the world of computing. Although they were competitors, both shared the vision that computers would become an essential part of people's lives. The difference in color between Fanta orange sold in the United States and Europe. On the left, the Fanta marketed in the United States presents a much more intense and artificial orange color. This happens because the American formula includes artificial dyes, commonly found in beverages in the United States, but are restricted or banned in several countries. On the right, the Fanta sold in Europe has a lighter and more natural color, the result of using fruit juice and natural dyes. Barack Obama at the age of 19 during his youth in Los Angeles in 1980. At that time, Obama was a university student and had just begun his studies at Occidental College, a liberal arts college in California. He was known for his interest in literature, social debates, and racial justice issues. Although still distant from politics, Obama was already showing leadership among peers and involvement with student causes. Dogs Belka and Strelka being taken out of their descent capsule shortly after completing a historic space mission in 1960. They were the first living beings to orbit the Earth and return alive, marking a significant advancement in the Soviet space program. During the mission, which lasted just over 24 hours, the two dogs completed 17 orbits around the planet. Two alligator pups side by side, one with melanism and the other with albinism, recorded at a conservation center in the United States in 2020. On the left, the pup has extremely dark, almost black skin. On the right, the albino pup has white skin and pink eyes, the result of the total absence of melanin. This photo shows people near the remains of an ancient tree that was felled. The tree was over 1,300 years old and had a height exceeding 130 meters, equivalent to a 30-story building. It was located in a forest in the United States, in a region known for housing giant sequoia trees. Many of these trees began growing during the Middle Ages. Soldiers using sound locators during World War I, between the years of 1914 and 1918. These devices were used before the invention of radar to detect the approach of enemy airplanes. The sound locators captured the sound of the propellers and engines of distant planes. Based on the direction and intensity of the sound, the soldiers were able to estimate where the planes were coming from. Adolf Hitler, present at the wedding of Joseph Goebbels and Magda Quandt, held in Berlin, Germany in 1931. At the ceremony, Hitler was not only invited, but also served as the couple's best man. Joseph Goebbels was the minister of propaganda of the Nazi regime and one of Hitler's closest and most loyal members. Magda, who would later be known as the First Lady of the Third Reich, was already part of the German high society before the marriage. This moving photo was taken in 1948 in the United States, showing a woman sitting next to 4 small children with a sign that reads, "Children for Sale." The image was captured during a period of extreme economic hardship for many families after World War II. The woman in the photo was named Lucille Chalafu. She and her husband were unemployed, facing severe poverty, and about to be evicted from their home. Unable to feed and care for their children, Lucille made the desperate decision to put them up for sale. The woman who served as the model for the face of the Statue of Liberty, standing next to one of the parts of the sculpture during its construction in the 1880s, in Paris, France. Her name was Isabella Boyer, a well-known figure in French society at the time. Although there is no official confirmation, many historians believe her face inspired sculptor Frederick Auguste Bartholdi in creating the face of the statue. Bartholdi was the artist responsible for the sculpture, which was a gift from France to the United States. Michael Jackson and Donald Trump together in 1990, about to visit Ryan White, a teenager battling AIDS in the United States. Ryan White became nationally known after contracting the HIV virus during a contaminated blood transfusion. At the time, he faced discrimination and helped change the way the public viewed AIDS, becoming a symbol of awareness and respect. A champagne party during the 1960s in a typical high society setting of the time, recorded in the United States. In the image, men and women elegantly dressed are toasting with glasses raised, while 2 women perform inside a giant glass. The style of the clothing and hairstyles reflects the classic fashion of that decade, characterized by form-fitting dresses, tailored suits, and shiny accessories. Passengers boarding the RMS Titanic at the port of Southampton, England. The Titanic was the largest passenger ship in the world at the time and embarked on its maiden voyage on April 10, 1912, bound for New York. In the image, people from different social classes can be seen boarding the ship, from third-class families seeking a new life in America to first-class passengers wearing formal clothing and elegant hats. An extreme method used in the fight against alcoholism, in which the patient received a dose of castor oil sufficient for a horse during an experimental treatment in the United States in 1916. Castor oil, known for its strong laxative effects, was administered in large quantities with the intention of causing intense discomfort when ingested along with alcohol. This photo shows the runners who participated in the marathon during the first modern Olympic Games, held in Athens, Greece in 1896. The marathon was one of the most symbolic competitions of the Games, inspired by the legend of the Greek soldier Pheidippides, who ran from Marathon to Athens to announce the victory over the Persians in the 5th century BC. Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee together during the filming of the classic film Way of the Dragon, recorded in Rome in 1972. Bruce Lee, already established as a martial arts master and cinema star, directed, wrote, and starred in the film. He invited Chuck Norris to play the main adversary in the iconic final scene at the Colosseum. This fight, considered one of the most memorable in action movie history, brought together 2 of the greatest names in martial arts. Princess Diana alongside comedian Rowan Atkinson, known worldwide for his character Mr. Bean, during the Royal Variety Show in London in 1984. The event took place at the London Palladium and is a traditional annual show for the British royal family with performances in music, comedy, and theater. That night, Diana represented the royal family as the guest of honor, while Rowan Atkinson participated as one of the main attractions. The crater of the Diamond Head volcano, located on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, recorded on a clear and sunny day in 2022. Diamond Head is a volcanic cone formed about 300,000 years ago as a result of a single explosive eruption. Although it is extinct, its ring-shaped formation is perfectly preserved and has become one of the state's most visited tourist attractions. The enormous physical archive of fingerprint records of the FBI, located in Washington, D.C., in 1944. At that time, the Federal Bureau of Investigation kept millions of fingerprint records in physical files, manually organized by staff. Each file represented a person registered for criminal, military, immigration, or other national security reasons. Members of the Beatles, in a relaxed moment on the beach, during a break from recordings and tours, in 1963, in Weston-super-Mare, England. In the image, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr are smiling, walking on the sand, and enjoying their free time together. That year, the band was starting to gain national fame, but was still in the early stages of Beatlemania. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace in London in 1953. She had become queen in February of 1952, but the coronation was held over a year later in a grand event watched by millions around the world. It was the first coronation to be televised, marking a symbolic moment in the modernization of the monarchy. The construction of the Forth Road Bridge, one of the United Kingdom's main suspension bridges located in Scotland, recorded in 1961. The bridge was designed to connect the cities of Edinburgh and Fife, spanning the Forth River estuary. In the image, the main cables are being stretched between the towers, and metal structures are being carefully assembled. Lightning during a volcanic eruption, recorded at the Calbuco volcano in Chile in 2015. The phenomenon is known as a dirty thunderstorm and occurs when ash particles, gases, and rock fragments ejected by the eruption collide in the air, generating electrical charges. This friction creates discharges similar to lightning from a regular thunderstorm, but inside the volcanic eruption cloud. A swimmobile in operation in New York City in 1960. The swimmobile was a mobile pool installed on a truck bed, created as part of a social program to bring leisure and recreational activities to urban neighborhoods that lacked public swimming pools. The project was promoted by the New York City Parks Department to offer children moments of fun and relief from the heat during the summer. Ferdinand Porsche presenting a car model to Adolf Hitler, recorded in Germany in 1934 during an official meeting to discuss the project that would become the Volkswagen Beetle. Porsche was a renowned automotive engineer and was tasked by the Nazi government to develop a people's car, Volkswagen in German, an affordable, durable, and simple vehicle that could be purchased by middle-class German families. The inventor Nikola Tesla sitting in his laboratory next to his amplification transmitter, one of his most impressive inventions. The image was taken around the year 1899 in Colorado Springs, United States, where Tesla conducted many of his electricity experiments. The amplification transmitter was a special type of coil Tesla developed to transmit electrical energy wirelessly using electromagnetic waves. Charlie Chaplin and Helen Keller together in 1919 in Los Angeles, United States. Charlie Chaplin was one of the biggest names in silent cinema at the time, and Helen Keller was a writer, activist, and deafblind speaker, internationally recognized for her overcoming and fight for the rights of people with disabilities. The meeting took place during a visit by Helen Keller to the film studios, where she was welcomed by Chaplin. Yuri Gagarin, the first human to travel to space, and Italian actress Gina Lollobrigida during a meeting in Moscow in 1961. That year, Gagarin had just gained worldwide fame after completing an orbit around the Earth aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft. He became a national hero in the Soviet Union and a symbol of Soviet leadership in the space race. Gina Lollobrigida, on the other hand, was one of the biggest stars of European cinema in the 1960s. Charlie Chaplin and Albert Einstein together at a public event, recorded in Los Angeles in 1931. The meeting took place during the premiere of Chaplin's classic film City Lights. Einstein, already renowned as a physicist for his theory of relativity, was the special guest of the night and attended with his wife Elsa. Chaplin, at the peak of his career, made sure to welcome him personally. The historic traffic jam near the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin in 1989. The image was captured on the first Saturday after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Thousands of East Germans took advantage of the sudden opening of the borders to cross into West Berlin, many for the first time in their lives. Entire families reunited, cars filled the streets, and traffic came to a complete halt near the gate, one of the city's most symbolic landmarks. Bill Gates, after being arrested for driving without a license, recorded in Albuquerque, New Mexico, United States, in 1977. In the image, Bill Gates appears young and smiling in the traditional police booking photo. At the time, he was about 22 years old and was working with Paul Allen on developing Microsoft, which was still in its early stages as a software company. Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker together during the early stages of their relationship in New York City in 1983. The two met while acting in a movie and began dating at a very young age, around 18 years old. At the time, both were rising stars in film and television, taking their first steps in their Hollywood careers. The couple stayed together for about 7 years and became one of the most well-known pairs in the entertainment industry in the 1980s. This photo shows a match between Arsenal and Manchester United at Highbury Stadium in London in 1926. In the image, fans crowd the stands and sidelines wearing typical clothes of the time, such as long coats and hats. The playing field still had dirt in some areas, and the goals did not have modern netting. There was no artificial lighting, and all matches were held during the day. A special police force agent from Germany wearing chainmail armor during a training operation in 2012. The police officer belongs to an elite unit known as SEK, specialized in high-risk missions such as hostage rescue, counterterrorism operations, and armed confrontations. The chainmail is used as additional protection against knife, machete, or sharp object attacks during raids in tight and dangerous locations. Basketball player Shaquille O'Neal next to businessman Bill Gates during a technology event in Las Vegas in 1999. The meeting took place during the Comdex Fair, one of the world's largest computer expos, where celebrities and executives gathered to promote technological innovations. Shaquille participated as a special guest, symbolizing the growing connection between sports, media, and the digital world. George Lucas behind the scenes of Star Wars filming before any use of computer graphics in London in 1976. At that time, special effects were still done entirely by hand, using models, wires, and cameras with precise movements. All the battles between ships, explosions, and creatures were created with miniatures and practical effects. Each scene required meticulous planning and weeks of work for just a few seconds of footage. Madonna, Sting, and Tupac Shakur together at an event in Los Angeles in 1993. The meeting took place during a party in the music industry, bringing together big names of the time in a relaxed moment. Although their musical styles were different, the three artists shared fame, influence, and involvement in cultural and social debates. This photo shows a life-size comparison between a bear paw and a human being, recorded at a research center in North America in 2016. In the image, the paw of an adult brown bear, also known as a grizzly, appears next to the hand of a researcher. The difference is striking. The bear's paw is several times larger, with long and thick claws that can reach more than 4 inches in length. This photo shows the then Princess Elizabeth with her dog when she was just 10 years old in London, England in 1936. At the time, she was still known as Princess Elizabeth of York and lived with her family at Buckingham Palace. Her father, the Duke of York, would ascend to the throne as King George VI that same year after the abdication of Edward V, which would make Elizabeth the heir to the British throne. Angelina Jolie at 17 years old during a photo shoot in Los Angeles in 1992. At the time, Angelina was taking her first steps in her career as a model and actress, participating in commercials, music videos, and independent productions. Even at such a young age, she was already drawing attention for her striking presence in front of the camera and her unique style. Mushrooms resembling flames, recorded in a humid forest in Southeast Asia in 2019. These mushrooms belong to the genus Mycena, and some species display vibrant colors in shades of orange, red, and yellow, with an elongated, curved shape resembling tongues of fire. The combination of intense coloring with the dark forest floor environment creates the visual illusion of small flames emerging from decaying wood. A fully intact human nervous system, carefully dissected and preserved, an extremely rare achievement in the history of anatomy. The work was carried out in 1925 by two medical students from Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine in the United States. The dissection took about 1,500 hours of meticulous work, equivalent to more than 60 full days of dedication to separate, preserve, and display all the main nerves of the human body in their original relative position. This photo shows the size of fully inflated horse lungs compared to a human body, recorded at a veterinary university in the United Kingdom in 2019 during an anatomy practical class. A horse's lungs can hold more than 55 liters of air, much larger than human lungs, which typically hold between 4 and 6 liters in a healthy adult person. This photo shows bismuth crystals, a chemical element known for its unique geometric appearance and iridescent coloration, recorded in 2017. Bismuth crystals naturally form in stepped and angular shapes, often resembling staircases or pyramids with sharp edges. This structure results from the cooling process, which occurs from the outside in, creating these geometric shapes known as spiral growth structures. The last known Tasmanian tiger, also called a thylacine, recorded at the Hobart Zoo, Tasmania in 1933. The animal in the image, known as Benjamin, was the last captive specimen of the species. The Tasmanian tiger was a carnivorous marsupial native to Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea, easily recognized by its dog-like body, rigid tail, and dark stripes on the rear, which earned it the nickname Tiger. The entrance to the Führerbunker, the underground bunker where Adolf Hitler spent his final days, located in Berlin, Germany, and photographed shortly after the end of World War II in 1945. It was in this location that Hitler lived the last moments of the Third Reich on April 30th, 1945, alongside his companion, Eva Braun, just days after marrying her. The bunker was partially destroyed by the Soviets and kept secret for many years. Bruce Lee on a dance floor during a social event in the 1950s in Hong Kong when he was still a teenager. Before becoming world-renowned as a martial arts master and movie star, Bruce Lee was also a talented dancer. He won the Hong Kong Cha-Cha-Cha Championship in 1958, and he was known for his agility, rhythm, and elegance in movement. The intact seal on the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings, Egypt, found by British archaeologist Howard Carter in 1922. The seal visible in the image had remained closed for more than 3,000 years, since Tutankhamun's burial around 1323 BC. It is made of interwoven cords and clay with the official mark of the royal necropolis, a guarantee that the tomb had not been violated since ancient times. The first photo recorded of the discovery of Machu Picchu, taken in 1912 during the expedition led by Hiram Bingham, an American historian and explorer from Yale University. Although the ruins were already known to local residents, it was Bingham who introduced them to the outside world in 1911. He returned the following year with an archaeological and photographic team to begin the first works of cleaning, documentation, and excavation at the site. This photo shows a patch of grass right after being struck by lightning, recorded in a rural area in the United States in 2020. The lightning strike left a circular or branched mark on the ground, known as a Lichtenberg figure. This pattern forms when the high-voltage discharge instantly heats the moisture in the soil and vegetation, causing a thermal explosion that burns or rearranges the grass surface. The Tasmanian giant crab, one of the largest crab species in the world, recorded in the cold waters of southern Australia and Tasmania. This impressive crustacean can weigh more than 30 pounds and span 32 inches across. The males are significantly larger than the females and have an unusually large claw used for defense and competition. A very rare giraffe born without any spots on its skin. The record was made at a zoo in Tennessee, United States in 2023. Unlike common giraffes, which have dark spots scattered across their bodies, this giraffe has completely smooth and light brown skin. Experts believe this condition is caused by an extremely rare genetic mutation. This photo shows an original gold medal from the first modern Olympic Games, held in Athens, Greece in 1896. This medal is extremely rare and valuable, both historically and culturally, symbolizing the revival of the Olympic Games after more than 1,500 years of absence. The piece is a direct link between the tradition of ancient Greece and the modern Olympic movement. Diego Maradona, Pelé, and Michel Platini gathered at a special event in 1988, held in Italy. The meeting took place during the France Football Magazine Award ceremony, which celebrated the greatest names in sports at the time. The moment was significant as it brought together two of the greatest players in history: Pelé, a symbol of Brazilian football, and Maradona, an Argentine idol, with Michel Platini, one of the biggest names in European football in the 1980s and then president of UEFA. This moving photo was taken in 1940 during World War II in London, England. It shows a young girl sitting among the ruins of a destroyed house, hugging and comforting her doll after an air raid. The image was captured during the period known as the Blitz, when Nazi Germany conducted intense airstrikes against British cities, primarily between September 1940 and May 1941. Thousands of people died, and many others lost their homes and families. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin taking a selfie during a spacewalk in 1969. The image was captured during the Apollo 11 mission, the first manned journey that took humans to the moon. While the most famous moment of the mission was the lunar landing on July 20, 1969, this photo was taken a few days earlier while Aldrin was still in Earth orbit inside the command module. A puma, also known as a mountain lion, hidden among snow-covered trees, recorded in a North American forest during the winter of 2021. In the image, the animal is perfectly camouflaged among the branches and trunks covered in snow with its light grayish-brown fur blending into the cold environment. Muhammad Ali next to the Beatles, recorded in Miami, United States on February 18, 1964. The meeting took place during a promotional photo shoot at Ali's training gym shortly before his historic fight against Sonny Liston. The Beatles agreed to participate in the session to promote the fight, while Ali used it to attract attention to the event. Alissa Ulpian, crowned beauty queen in France in 1921. Dressed in an elegant outfit of the time, Alissa represents the style and beauty standards of the early 1920s, a period marked by the end of World War I and the emergence of new cultural movements, such as jazz. The legendary actor and comedian Robin Williams as part of a cheerleading team, recorded in 1980 during a promotional event at the University of Southern California, United States. In the image, Robin appears wearing the women's cheerleading team uniform, smiling and posing comically, as was characteristic of his irreverent style. The moment took place while he was promoting the successful TV series Mork and Mindy, which had made him a national star. This photo shows Gandhi as a child, recorded in India around the 1870s. In the image, he appears wearing traditional Indian clothing with a serious expression and formal posture, something common in photographs of the time, as posing for a camera was a rare and important event. Arnold Schwarzenegger on his first day in New York City, recorded in 1968, shortly after his arrival in the United States. At just 21 years old, Arnold had left Austria to pursue his dream of becoming the world's greatest bodybuilder, and later, a movie star. In the image, he appears in simple clothing, walking through the city streets, impressed by the skyscrapers, intense activity, and vibrant atmosphere of the American metropolis. Albert Einstein's office exactly as he left it on the day of his death on April 18, 1955, at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, United States. The image was taken by photographer Ralph Morris of Life magazine just hours after the physicist's death. It shows the work desk filled with papers, stacked books, notes, pipes, and personal items, all in apparent disarray, reflecting the environment of a man constantly immersed in complex thoughts and calculations. A multicolored chameleon in the process of changing its color recorded in Madagascar in 2018 its natural habitat. The chameleon in the image belongs to the Furcifer pardalis species, also known as the panther chameleon. This species is famous for its incredible color variety. Each chameleon has unique patterns, almost like a visual fingerprint. This photo shows an impressive comparison between a polar bear's claw and a human hand, recorded in the Canadian Arctic in 2021. In the image, the polar bear's paw is clearly visible in the snow, with its claw deeply embedded in the ice next to a human hand placed for scale. The size difference is striking. A polar bear's paw can measure up to 12 inches wide, with curved claws reaching up to 4 inches long. This photo shows the inside of a meteorite that was cut and polished, revealing unique metallic patterns called Widmanstätten figures, recorded in a laboratory around 2018. These geometric formations are primarily composed of iron and nickel alloys, which crystallized over millions of years as the material slowly cooled in space, at a rate of just 1 degree Celsius every million years. A woman on the coast of New Hampshire, United States, shortly after catching a 1,000-pound bluefin tuna in 2015. The bluefin tuna is one of the strongest and most valuable fish in the ocean. It can exceed 13 feet in length and weigh over 1,000 pounds. Catching this type of fish requires skill, endurance, and patience, especially when done without any assistance. A man selling snowballs on the streets of New York in 1983. The gesture, although unusual, attracted the attention of pedestrians and photographers due to its blend of humor, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit. During that winter, New York was experiencing a heavy snowstorm, which may have inspired the unusual idea of turning snow into a product. A shark egg illuminated by light, seen through the water in a marine research aquarium, recorded in 2020. The egg belongs to an oviparous shark species, which deposit their eggs wrapped in semi-rigid capsules known as mermaid's purses. When lit from behind or observed against underwater light, the egg reveals its contents with incredible clarity. A boxing match occurring aboard the USS Oregon warship, recorded in 1897 during a show for the United States Navy crew. The USS Oregon was a battleship of the Indiana class and became famous for its impressive journey from the Pacific to the Caribbean in record time during the Spanish-American War. During long periods at sea, boxing matches were organized as a form of entertainment and physical training for sailors. The wives of the astronauts of the Apollo 8 mission, at the exact moment they heard their husbands' voices transmitted from space in December of 1968 in the United States. In the image, the wives are gathered in a NASA control room, visibly moved, listening to the live transmissions from the spacecraft. It was the first time in history that human voices were heard directly from lunar orbit. A solar eclipse seen from inside an airplane in flight, recorded during a total eclipse over the Pacific Ocean in 2017. On specially positioned aircraft to observe the phenomenon, passengers and scientists were able to see the eclipse from a privileged point above the clouds and atmospheric pollution. The altitude allowed for a clear and prolonged view of the shadow of the moon covering the sun. This photo shows a tiny spot to the left of the solar disk. It is the planet Mercury passing in front of the sun, recorded during a rare astronomical transit in 2019. Mercury's transit occurs when the planet passes directly between the Earth and the Sun, appearing as a small dark dot, moving slowly across the solar surface. This event can only be seen with telescopes equipped with special solar filters. This photo shows the tallest palm tree in the world in the Cocora Valley, Colombia, recorded in 2022. Wax palms can reach heights of up to 200 feet, making them the tallest palm tree species ever recorded. They are native to the Andean region of Colombia and are considered the country's national symbol. The Cocora Valley, located in the Quindío department, is the main habitat for these majestic trees. Virat Kohli, with his father, Prem Kohli, who was his greatest supporter since childhood. The image was taken in New Delhi, India, where Virat was born and raised. Prem Kohli was a criminal lawyer and always encouraged his son to pursue sports, attending his practices and matches from an early age. Virat began playing cricket in local clubs as a child and joined the West Delhi Cricket Academy in 1998 at just 9 years old. A high-tech ocean farm designed to produce up to 12,000 tons of farmed fish per year, recorded on the coast of Norway in 2020. Known as Ocean Farm 1, this floating structure is one of the first large-scale, submerged automated farms in the world. It was developed to withstand the harsh conditions of the open sea and farm fish, such as salmon, more sustainably than traditional methods. The most detailed model of a human cell ever created, presented by scientists at a research center in the United States in 2021. The model was developed by a team of biologists, designers, and programmers using real data obtained through electron microscopy. It accurately represents the internal structures of the cell. This photo shows a rare atmospheric phenomenon known as the blood red rainbow, recorded during sunset in a mountainous region in Japan in 2021. The phenomenon occurs when the sun is very low on the horizon, usually at dawn or late afternoon, and its light passes through a larger portion of the atmosphere. The eye of a spider seen under a high-powered microscope, recorded in an entomology laboratory in 2021. The image shows the structure of the spider's simple eyes, also known as ocellular eyes, with great detail. Unlike insects like flies, which have compound eyes, spiders typically have 6 to 8 individual eyes, each with its own lens. A thick fog moving over mountains like ocean waves, recorded in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in the United States in 2016. The phenomenon occurs when masses of cool, moist air accumulate in the valleys and slopes of the mountains during the early morning or late afternoon hours. With the ideal temperature, wind, and humidity conditions, the dense fog slowly flows across the elevated landscapes, creating a visual illusion of waves gently breaking over an invisible coast. An incredible iceberg in the icy waters of Greenland, recorded during a scientific expedition in 2019. The iceberg stands out for its imposing shape, naturally sculpted by the wind, water, and time. Some formations reach dozens of meters in height above the sea surface, but most of its mass, about 90%, remains submerged. In the image, deep blue and pure white tones are visible, varying according to the density of the ice and how it reflects light. A comparison between a human skeleton and a gorilla skeleton, side by side, recorded in a natural history museum in 2011. On the left, the human skeleton presents an upright posture with an S-shaped spine, shorter arms, and long legs, adapted for bipedal locomotion. On the right, the gorilla skeleton has a more robust structure with arms much longer than the legs, a less curved spine, and a wider rib cage. The first photo of the band Linkin Park with vocalist Chester Bennington, recorded in Los Angeles in 1997. At that time, the band was still known as Zero and was in search of a new musical identity. Chester Bennington had just joined the group, bringing a unique and powerful voice that would become the trademark of the band's sound. Soon after, the group changed its name to Hybrid Theory and then to Linkin Park, releasing their debut album in 2000. This photo was taken at a time when computers did not have screens. During the early phase of technology between the 1940s and 1960s, computers occupied entire rooms and worked with punched cards, lights, and wires. Instead of monitors, information was processed through panels with buttons and indicator lights. Data entry was done with paper cards, and the results were printed on large sheets by line printers. Each operation took minutes or even hours to complete.